You know, back then, like today, what's crazy is like since I'm still in the music business, just seeing how it's evolved. Right today, artists can find producers anywhere. You know what
Exactly.
I mean?
Exactly.
I mean, you can go to YouTube, download beats, whatever.
Facts.
Back then in 94, 93, you rapped and there was no producers. You know, you couldn't go online because there was no internet, right? So,
Jeez. Yeah.
yeah, imagine that. There was zero internet. So, I was like, but I really want to rap, and I used to rent, I used to buy tapes, like singles, and on the B side they would always have the instrumental, and I used to rap over those. So I just wanted to
That's
start. I knew that producers who did make their beats always had like drum machines. That was the big thing, drum machines.
right.
So the crown jewel of the drum machines at the time was an MPC, but
Yep.
at
Yep.
the time those was like $800, $1,000 or something like that. And I was like, I can't afford that. So I ended up, my mother ended up just looking out, giving me $500 to buy this Dr. Rhythm drum machine, a DR5 Dr. Rhythm. It had four tracks, three sounds and one drum track. So, and I thought that was like the, now, mind you, I had four tracks to make beats with,
Yeah.
like four tracks, separate tracks, and I thought that was everything.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Well,
oh, that's
it
all.
was. It was at that point, like technically,
Yeah,
besides like the
yeah,
NPC.
right. Well, you know, the MPC had like 16 tracks. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right.
And no, but to me, so I ended up getting that drum machine, and the reason I always go back to that song is because I didn't know how to make beats, right?
Hmm.
So the only thing I knew was like, let me try to remake a beat, and that was the beat. That was the song that I sat and remade, and I sat in my room for so long, just completely fascinated by this drum machine that I had on these sweatpants that were like the plastic kind of sweatpants. When I had finally got up from the chair, I had sat there for so long that the paint peeled off my pants and was stuck to the chair.
You told me that once you realized kind of a key turning point for you was that in the industry, producers get paid before the artist, and
Yeah,
that kind of really influenced you to kind of go be more of a producer.
yeah, because I think the thing about me was I never took the music thing as a joke or as a hobby. I mean, from when I started rapping, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna blow up. I'm really gonna do this. This is what I'm doing. You know what I mean? I was dead set on it. There was no change in my mind. So I wanted to, I had learned. I would always read about the business and stuff like that, and I had read that generally producers and writers got paid first, and that made me think like, well, maybe I should just do the producing thing, you
Right.
know, because not only that, it's just that I was a great rapper, I really was, and I always say that to my friends, they laugh because they think I'm kidding, but I really was. If you talk to anybody that knows me from then, they'll be like, yeah, Woo was actually dope, uh, but the beats is what I was doing more of, if that makes sense,
Hmm.
because like I would rather make 50 beats rather than write five rhymes, and then people would start taking heeds of my beats and being like,
Facts.
yo, like that, everybody would want to rap over it. They would want me to bring my little setup over their crib and make beats in front of them, and you know what I'm saying. So
Yeah.
that made me stick to that.
Cool, man. And
And this is like, again, this is early 2000s, and I was like, yo, how much money you trying to spend on beats?
mhm.
And he was like, I don't know, 3-4 thousand. And you got to understand, like, even 3-4 thousand today would be a lot,
Yeah,
but
for a beat, yeah.
in 2000, you know 3, that was unreal. You know what I mean? So I was like, yeah, all right, okay, cool. You kind of one ear out the other. I'm like, all right. So I leave, and then that following week or something like that, I'm at my boy's house, and again, another girl that I had a crush on was there, uh, and I'm pulling out. I'm trying to show off because we got this rental van, and for some reason I thought I was really cool in a rental van. you know, and then I'm backing out of the driveway, and I'm saying bye to her, or whatever, and I'm not looking, and it's dark outside, and her car's parked in front of the driveway, and I T-bone her car,
Ooh,
and I'm like, oh my
damn.
god, like, because it's super embarrassing. And she was like, "Oh, my car, da da da." And then I asked her, she figured out how much it was gonna cost to get fixed. It was $800. I remember I went right back to George, and I was like, "Yo." I kind of like I was like walking in there all puffy with my foot down, like, "Hey, look, man, you want to do big? I'm gonna need a upfront. I'm gonna need some money up front." And he was like, "Well, how much?" I was like, "I'm gonna need like $1,000." And he just pulls it out of his pocket and gives it to me, and it threw me off because I was like, "Okay, oh, you for real?"
Yeah.
Just I understood that this is a business, and
Mm.
everybody brings some sort of value and should be
Facts.
compensated at
Yes. Sir.
some on some sort of a level. And I'm glad that I got to learn that at a young age by meeting him, and and to this day, that's my brother. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's good that obviously you realize that, that everybody has to bring something to the table, and it is a business. I mean, for real, it's
Yeah.
a cutthroat business, but
But I would be around celebrities because the dude I was up there with, Billy, he really knew these people. He would
yeah.
take me around these people. It wasn't no cap.
Hmm.
But the funny thing is this, just a little side note. So like, a lot of people ask me why I always take pictures and I mean mug, right? Here's the story to that. Here's the truth behind that. So when I would take pictures, remember I said we had wind up cameras, right?
Right.
Nowadays, you take a picture, you can look at it. Let's do it again. Look at it. No, let's do it again. All right, that's the one. When you had a wind up camera, you took one picture and that was it. And then you just crossed your fingers, right? Because you had to go get them developed and all that stuff. And so I would meet people like DJ Clue, Foxy Brown, and other celebrities, and I would take pictures with these people. And I'm always like pumped and hyped and like super excited. And then when I get the picture back, they look like they ready to leave. So I was like, damn. So I would never take those pictures back home because I look like an idiot. So so what happened was it clicked in my head. I was like, the next time I take a picture with a celebrity, I'm gonna just act like I'm ready to go. And so I started doing the meme mug face, like, all right, let's hurry up, take this picture, Jay
Right.
Z, hurry up. You know what I mean? So that way, if the artist wasn't, I didn't look crazy. It looked like we was both not wanting to take the picture, but we did it, whatever. And it just became a habit. And so that's why I take pictures like that.
That's funny. So your friend, who are some of these? You told me that you were meeting, like, you went in the Def Jam building a few times and you were meeting like big executives. Who are some of those people?
I used to go. So Bill used to take us to Mike Kaiser's office, and you know, I don't know if anybody knows who Mike Kaiser. Just look him up.
Yeah.
He's a real popular executive. But we used to go in his office, and at the time, I didn't know who he was. I didn't learn later. I didn't learn till later, like how crazy that was to be in his office.
Was
Or have the opportunity to go there. What was you about to say?
was he there? Did you get to meet him?
Yeah, we used to sit in his office and talk to him
Oh wow.
because Billy, my dude Billy, knew him. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
My boy Billy would be like, "Yo, man, can we give us a deal, Mike?" And da da da. Uh, and Mike would be like, "Man, y'all not ready," and whatever. Then he used to take me to Murder Inc. I met Chris Gotti a long time ago. I had an opportunity to go produce for Irv Gotti, and this is back when Murder Inc. was popular. And but just due to some other reasons, my boy Billy didn't take me. Um, and so but I just had crazy opportunities. I ended up one time, me and Bill kind of fell out. He just kind of disappeared on me for about a month, and so I ended up, me and Chris ended up linking with this kid named Daytona, which is his homie. And Daytona was signed to Jive or J Records at the time, and he would record out of this studio in New Jersey, and he invited us out there. When we got out there, the room that he was always in with the people he knew, I went in there and one night we just chilling. There's two girl groups that's being produced, a girl group called Lyric and one called Anthem. And you know, so we stay overnight one night and I while everybody's asleep, I sampled Biggie's 10 Crack Commandments and made it super R&B. And I remember like, the dude coming in the next day and I'm playing the beat and he walks in, he's listening to it, this dude named Henny. He's listening to it and he goes, "Yo, who made that beat?" And I was like, I did. And And then he was like, yo, you can come back here anytime you want to. Like, just come in and make beats. I'm like, bet. Because at the time, I was like down and out a little bit. So we end up linking with him. I'm making beats. And then I come home one day. I go back to Kentucky one day. And I literally, from the airport in the car, get to the apartment, go upstairs, sit on the bed, turn on the TV. And I'm watching this MTV news clip. It's Kurt Loder. The MTV logo is spinning. And I'm watching this building on fire. And there's this green Range Rover in the video. And I'm looking like, dang, man, it looks like the Range Rover at the studio. And then I'm reading as they scroll messages on the bottom says legendary Sugar Hill studio burns to the ground due to electrical fire. And then I found out that the room I was in was a room that Puffy was using to develop these girl groups.
Yeah. Wow.
So like yeah.
That was like, God, I can't even. That was probably just like a smack in the face. I mean, you were saying you were just there.
Yeah, I was just there like the day before. The crazy thing is this, man. I got a lot of moments like that in my life, but I never looked at them like in a negative way. What the crazy thing is that those were the moments that kept me going, because I felt like I always got my foot in the door somewhere a little bit.
And then, yeah.
Yeah, it just made me all right. Let me try this again. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm every time I get somewhere, and it just kept me going, and so I never look at those as like, dang, I didn't make it. Maybe this ain't for me. I always looked at it as like, oh, this is a sign. This is for me. Let me keep trying. Let me
Keep
tweak
trying,
my
yeah.
process. Let me change up what I'm doing and try again. And obviously it worked. So
Yeah.
mhm.
And you're like, all right, this is definitely what I want to do. You told me that you got back to Louisville, and it was just slow. Louisville was slow compared to New York. What did you mean by
Yeah.
that?
See, like in New York, it's like if you a rapper or you a producer, whatever, you got 20 other people competing for your exact position. So you got to be on the ball. Like you got to be moving.
Yeah.
And I understood that it's like if you ain't moving, you gonna get lost in the sauce because it's like
Facts.
it's 100 people trying to do what you,
Yes.
or it's 1,000 people doing the same thing you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
And at that time, Kentucky, Louisville, for instance, wasn't like that. It wasn't. I came from a scene in New York. I came from a scene where everybody was trying to do music, to a scene in Louisville where you didn't even know of any rappers unless you knew. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it was very slow to me. In New York, they used to hustle mixtapes all the time. We used to go on the Ave, on Jamaica Ave, buy mixtapes all the time. When I came back home, nobody had mixtapes, so I started getting CDs sent to me, and I would burn them at my crib on the computer, and then I would make my own labels, and I would take them. I would drive them out here to Louisville, and I would park at gas stations, and and knock CDs. I used to do that all the time. The if anybody knows I think it's a Thornton's down on 18th Street, across the street from the rallies. I used to be there all the time and would hustle my CDs, and that's how I paid some of my bills at the time.
So you made a lot of sales with those
Yeah, I did.
CDs.
All right. I would be like, I'm not leaving Louisville until I make $40. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how my mentality was. So I'd have to sell 8 CDs. And that's just how I thought.
So what was that like? Like, how, would people just like walk past you and you'd be like, hey, like here's my CD, $5, or what was that process kind of like hustling CDs?
I was a pretty good salesman because I never came at nobody like that. Like I never came at like, yo, I got CDs for sale. It was always like, yo, you heard have y'all heard the Eminem? Because I knew I had exclusive shit because people didn't have this from New York. It's like
Right, right.
from DJs in New York that them the songs that DJ Cool was doing. You didn't hear him down here.
So you're the plug.
Yeah, I was like, yo, y'all heard that? Y'all heard the Eminem on Tupac's Hail Mary, and they'd be like, what? And then I'd be playing in my car. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, I got the CD. Yo, I'm knocking these for $5. Yeah, let me get that. And again, I would have labels, so it didn't look too. I mean, it was. You look at it now, it was cheesy, but back then it wasn't cheesy. Um, so I would approach people from a position of like, yo, have you heard this? If you haven't, check it out. If you have, whatever. If you don't want to hear it, cool. But I never would hit them like, yo, I got CDs, man, come buy the CD. It was never that. So at the time, there was this lady named Wendy Day who
Yeah.
did consultants.
Mm-hmm.
She consulted for artists, and she's like a legend in the music business.
Yeah.
And George had hired her to consult for us, and she liked our group. So she ended up flying into town to meet us. We got to meet her. And when we met her, she gave us a whole marketing plan. And she came the first day she came in. She said, where's the other producers?" And they was like, "There ain't no other producers. It's just him." And she was kind of blown away by that. Like, yo, he's the only producer and he's making all this music. So that was a dope thing. And then because I got to meet her at such an early age, I got really interested in the business side of things because she was she gave us a marketing strategy. She went out on the road with us and did it with us, like in the middle of the night, in the middle of these hoods, just slapping up wheat paste and posters everywhere, illegally. And then she that and everything she said we was gonna see from that, we really did see. And that's what got me super interested on the business side of it and like the marketing side of it, because it let me know that there's a whole nother side of this that we wasn't even understanding at the time.
Right. So that kind of sparked your interest in the business side, you could say.
Yeah, yeah, most definitely, yeah, because it was like, you know what I'm saying? It's like the Wizard of Oz. It's like somebody, she pulled back the veil and was like, "Oh, you didn't know that this was here." You know what I'm saying? So it just let me know that it gave me an edge, because I would look at other artists that didn't have nobody like that, and I would be like, "Yeah, you don't even know to do this or this." You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And then I would look at other big artists signed to major labels, and I would see the things that they do that was similar to what she had us doing. So it just connected dots to me in my brain.
Right.
So I'm working the job, and um, but I stayed in the mix, right? And so what happened was I still went to events and things like that, but I wasn't active on making beats like that or whatever. But I knew everybody though. That was the thing. So it's like if a person was to come up to me and be like, "Yo, who does beats? Or you got any beats, fool?" I'm like, "Man, not really at the moment, but let me tell you about my boy." And I'll start being the guy who knew everybody, and I would introduce everybody to everybody.
Yeah.
"Oh, you need graphics? Let me introduce you to my homegirl. Or you need a studio? Let me take you to my boy's crib." You know, and my word kind of became gold, because it was like, "Oh, if you need to know something about the music, go ask Woo. If anybody knows, Woo's gonna know." You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I started becoming like this connected guy who just knew everybody, and I was like the source. If you needed something, you come holler at me. I point you in the right direction, and whoever I vouched for, my word was so strong that whoever I vouched for, you didn't really second guess. If you say that this guy's gonna do a good job and I need to pay him this, that's what I'm gonna do.
Right.
You
Yeah.
know, and so and I saw the value that I saw the value in that, because another thing I had learned from an early age is that some of the best businessmen are the best middlemen. You know what
Mm.
I'm saying?
Ooh. Nice. Yeah. Facts. What
You
do
know,
you? So what do you mean exactly
so
by
I
that?
learned that
What?
some of the best businessmen are
Yeah.
simple, that know how to connect dots. But then I still didn't know this kid, and he would still just call me and be like, "What are you doing, bro?" And I used to be like, "Why are you calling me all the time?" You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Uh, but come to find out, this kid turns out to be Ness, who's now one of a dope ass producer doing his thing, like producing for Drake, getting #1 records, all of that. And you know, but back then, I would shop his beats to people, and people didn't wasn't feeling them, and I used to be confused because I thought they was the greatest.
Uh oh. Well, it's calling back. He thought he was the greatest.
Yo, you good?
Yeah,
My
yeah,
bad.
yeah. No, you good, you good. But all good. You said Nessa's beats were you thought they were the greatest.
Yeah, I thought they were the greatest beats ever. So it made me take off the whole hat of like I'm a producer too to now. Hold on, I'm gonna convince y'all that he's the shit. And it kind of that was the first time I ever kind of put on a manager hat. Not that I was his manager or nothing, but it just so that's got me into that role. And then what happened was later on, a couple years down the road, because what happened was I would start using my resources to get us situations, and then Ness was like my right hand man. Me and him just did everything together. We never said no to situations. Anything that came up, we was like, let's do it. When we go to New York, somebody just call us, say, come to New York, we go, things like that. And we had a couple situations happen. That again, more situations that was an inkling of keep going and don't stop.
Yeah,
And then he ends up getting a situation with Bryson, which was dope. And then shortly after that, this kid hits me up on Instagram by the name of Bblasian. I didn't take him serious the first time. I thought it was, I was like, you probably rapping about a bunch of crazy shit that I'm not interested in. But then I checked
damn.
his music. That same week, my boy hit me up, was like, yo, you heard this kid named Bblasian? I thought he was being funny. Because I'm actually I'm actually Blasian, so I thought it didn't even click that he was talking about the art. I thought he was just being funny. And then my little homie Ian, who was at the time like 12 years old or something like that, he was like, "Yo, Woo, you should check out this kid named Bblasian." And I was like, "Yo, that's like 3 times in 1 week." So I check him out. I see the record he's got, and in the video, first of all, I love the song, and then in the video, I see this lady, his mother, and his mother is a childhood friend of mine that haven't seen since we was like 16. So I was like,
Wow.
"Yeah, that's crazy." So I link up with him. We start chopping it up. At first, I wasn't trying to be a manager. It was more so of just trying to give him advice. But then, I saw some people that was trying to get at him that I knew wasn't like good. They weren't really good business people, and I just kind of like filled that role. I was like, well, you know what? Maybe I should manage you because these guys ain't good. These guys are terrible. And then we just worked, and we ended up getting him signed, and and then through that, my name got even bigger. And shortly, or while we was working, he ended up having a situation, unfortunately, that had him lose his deal. And then me and him went our separate ways shortly after that. But then out of nowhere, a lot of people don't notice. While I was working with Blasian, a young girl by the name of Marzz hit me up. Well, she wasn't even named Marzz. She had this long name. Uh, she DMs me. I check her out. I think she's dope. We link up. I get my boy Buku to do her like first ever photo shoot. And I tell her like the braids and the bandana. I said never change that. Like keep that. That's your look.
Yeah, for sure.
And I said also change your name because her name was like some crazy long name, but right in the middle of her name was Mars, and I was like you should call yourself Mars. You know what I'm saying? And she
Yeah,
was like, and then what happened was she looked on Instagram, Mars wasn't available, but Marzz was, and I was like that's even better.
for
You know what
sure.
I'm saying? So boom, so that goes Marzz. But then I got too busy with Blasian, so me and her went our separate ways so over the next several months, me and her didn't really talk. She ended up working with somebody else. It didn't go right, and like a couple days after me and Blasian kind of went our separate ways. Um, and just for anybody, like me and Blasian are cool. Like he's still the homie. He's very talented, so don't get it twisted. Because I used to have some couple people hit me up like, "Yo, that's crazy, Blasian." And I'm like, I don't do that, bro. Like, don't call me talking shit about somebody that you wouldn't say to their face. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
Um, so my opinion is my opinion of it, but it's my personal opinion. But I'm not gonna talk bad about them to you, and I don't talk bad about them. Period. But so it was cool. We went our separate ways, whatever. But then like 2 days after that, Mars hit me up again and was like out of nowhere. I ain't talked to her for about 4 months, and she was like, my situation isn't going the way it's supposed to. I need some help. Can you help me? And that turned into like, can we work together? And I was like, hell yeah, we could work together. And then about 60 days after that, she was signed to a major label.
What label?
She signed to Keep Cool RCA.
What do you see in the Louisville music business that's good and bad? Things that just don't work and things that do.
Um, I think one of the biggest things I think is a negative here is that a lot of people don't fully research the business on how things work.
Hmm.
And what happens is they kind of guess their way through it. And when they don't get the right answers, they kind of get frustrated when really the answers are like literally in a Google search. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's one of my biggest pet peeves, and I just wish that artists or anybody that want to be in the business, they would just do some research, man. Because like you wouldn't wake up and want to be a cook and for a restaurant. You wouldn't try to guess your way through it to learn how to cook, right? You probably go to school or something.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, man. Like do look up the like find the information because it's all there. So that's my biggest pet peeve is that people don't they just don't do the knowledge to what they
Right.
want to.
What's some of the best things that you see happening?
Some of the best things that I see is that there is, whether I don't know, maybe I have a different perspective because I run the thing called Producer Corner,
Yes. Yes.
but there is a big community, and the fact that we're very close in proximity. That we're very close in proximity. There's so many different variations of talent here, but we're all very close to each other. So like when people come to my producer corner, it's super diverse.
Hmm.
That's that I love about Louisville. That it's very diverse and everybody can link with each other and help each other. And there's a lot of talent here too. There's like a lot of talent here, that just needs to be groomed.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man. Well, I just wanted to get that perspective from somebody who really knows, man. Um, but Jon, man, I really appreciate your time, and I can't thank you enough for doing this big episode, man. A lot of clout. I really appreciate it.
Appreciate you, man. I appreciate you. I love what you're doing. It looks great. Appreciate you for having me. Do
Absolutely.
apologize. I had to get on the move, man, but
No,
I'm
it's all good. I appreciate. I'm glad we could do it. Any last words? Any words of advice to a starting artist in Louisville, or any closing comments?
I would just say that I would say for any artist just on a level of life and you is that to understand struggles a sign for change, to really understand that. So if you're doing music or whatever and something's not going
Facts.
right, to
Yes,
not get
sir.
frustrated is just really that's actually beneficial to you because if something's not going right, that's simply telling you to change something. And if you can really embrace that, you will get better very fast. And that's it. And not to get frustrated because I know a lot of artists who don't get anywhere and then they blame everything on everybody else, and it's like that's not really accurate.
Yeah, exactly. Not accurate at all.